Hello everyone, welcome to Mocking Sapien. My name is Tanay and today we are going to talk about fake news. WhatsApp University. So I'm going to make a series of videos right now on fake news regarding why do we like fake news, the history of fake news and right now how it's being spreading in India. So this video will be about why do we like fake news and why fake news is shared so much everywhere. Kyun? The fundamental question of life. BuzzFeed News had an analysis of fake news being shared right before election and they saw a rapid spike in the sharing of fake news, whereas the mainstream news showed a decline. Then fake headlines were shown to people and they asked them about the accuracy of the fake news. Most of the people said they were somewhat accurate. As you can see here, there is a series of fake news shown to people and people are finding it to be accurate. 70%, 80%, 60%. So fake news headlines are so believable. 9 out of 10 Americans don't fact check news which they see on social media. Maybe they trust people, their friends who share it or something like that, but they don't. But what if believing fake news is not about the amount of information you have or how smart you are? What if it's more about believing something just because you want to believe it, regardless of the facts? Now, why do we like fake news? One of the reasons is cognitive bias. Cognitive bias is basically a limitation in our thinking which causes errors in our judgments regardless of the facts. On a group of 30 people during the Terry and Bush elections in the US, they had done a survey on 30 people. 15 were of Terry's side and 15 of Bush's side. And when they saw about these people judging their candidates, the part of the brain which is supposed to be used for logical reasoning was inactive and the part which was emotional was active, which released dopamine. And dopamine is a drug which makes you feel good. Haha, emotional hai bhai. So there are many type of cognitive biases, but the most famous one is confirmation bias, on which a lot of research has been done. Confirmation bias is basically we tend to seek out information which suits our belief and our thinking. And we tend to ignore those who are contradictory to us, even though if they are true. Either we will give more priority to our kind of facts or thoughts, or we'll belittle the other person's thinking because it doesn't match with our views. Then there is another thing called identity protective cognition. You will tend to please your family or friends or people around you rather than go against them, even if the facts are against their views. So you don't offend your whole group of people. That's why you tend to stick to your group and just ignore facts because you want to stick to your group. Now, why do people believe fake news? That was like one part which we stick to fake news, but why do we believe fake news in the first place? Misinformation is not about facts. It's mainly about stories. Our brain likes stories. Stories बहुत पसंद है. We always look for patterns. Like even in clouds, we'll try to see a dog or a giraffe or a hippopotamus or Modi ji. If someone tells you that your relationship shouldn't be affected by petty things, but when it comes as a story, like some metaphor or something like that, and that makes a huge impact on you rather than just giving one statement. So humans are natural storytellers and we love narratives and we love stories. And most of the fake news have crazy amount of stories. Henkel analyzed news coverage around 7 Euro myths, popular, exaggerated or made up stories about the European Union, which the European Commission keeps an index of, and found that many of them play on the same repetitive nationalistic themes: ridicule and laughter, irreverence and defiance, British exceptionalism, and the capacity to unmask and stand up to nonsensical rules. British news consumers who are interested in believing and upholding this narrative about themselves will steer away from factual accuracy. Henkel argues that it's unlikely they'll be interested in the fact checks. That's why Henkel, the one who had done the research, also says that fact checkers should not just keep an eye on the facts. They should also keep an eye on how the facts are being told or how those narratives are being made in order to, combat fake news. And fake news is often repeated. So they'll again and again show it to you and hammer it on you so that, you start believing it's true. So advertising also works like that only. They'll constantly try to stay in front of you so that whenever you go to a marketplace, you end up buying the product which you saw before because it's familiar. This is known as the illusory truth effect. One study which was done on a group of people, they were shown some headlines of fake news and real news. They were shown for it for some time and then they were distracted with other questions regarding themselves. And at the end of the day or even the end of the next week, they started showing more headlines to those people. And they saw that the headlines which were shown before, they found it to be somewhat accurate. Even if they were like absolutely ridiculous. Like weird fake news, but they still said that it is somewhat accurate just because it was shown before. The study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology, June of 2018, tested the headline Black Lives Matter's thug protests, President Trump with selfie accidentally shoots himself in the face on both Clinton and Trump supporters, and found that in both groups a single prior exposure to the headline increased accuracy judgments. This may suggest that people don't necessarily believe false headlines because they reinforce their political beliefs. They believe them because when the truth is hard to come by, familiarity is an attractive stand-in. कुछ तो, like, you have those instances when someone talks about something and you might have heard of it before and you kind of had believed it. So irrespective of the facts, you believe it. False rumors also just don't repeat themselves. They become stronger. They evolve and get stronger. A group of scholars spoke about a temporal pattern, mutation, and sources of 17 popular political rumors that circulated on Twitter over 13 months during the 2012 US presidential elections. They found that while false rumors are often repeated periodically, true rumors enjoy a single spike of sharing and don't make comebacks. According to the study, these rumors tended to pick up steam over time, becoming more exaggerated and aggressive, adding more adjectives, Partian hashtags, and their comebacks were driven by various non-traditional websites that would pick up the old claim and repackage it as news, leading the scholars to speculate that there is a group of rumor entrepreneurs who not only produce false claims but also give life back to old debunked rumors. Finally, the researchers suggest that spreading false and often controversial rumors is a tactic used to reinforce Partian identities, strengthen the bonds with Partian networks, and create group solidarity. That's why they also recommend that fact checkers, when they are moving to new claims, start paying attention to the ones which are coming back and debunk those old myths again whenever they go viral. And most of the fake news on politics and all these things which are shared on social media is by humans. In a study published by Science in March 2018, they analyzed Twitter data of 126,000 news items that were shared 4.5 million times by 3 million people, which they used to compare the spread of news that has been verified as true with the spread of stories shown to be false. They found that whereas the truth rarely reached more than 1,000 Twitter users, the false stories reached around 10,000 people. False news propagated faster and wider for all forms of news, but the problem was particularly evident for political news, the team reports today in Science. At first, the researchers thought that bots might be responsible, so they used sophisticated bot detection technology to remove social media shares generated by bots. But the results didn't change. False news still propagated at roughly the same rate and to the same number of people. By default, that meant that human beings were responsible for the virality of false news. It's not by bots. So they believe it. It's not like, bots have shared it. Humans believe it. Even in fake news, when it comes to easy health benefits like this cures cancer, coconut water cures cancer, that's because our brain loves simple things. I've spoken about it in the previous video. Complicated problems having a simple solution, we love that. And the ones which are shared the most, automatically social media promotes it more, so these fake news start spreading more and more. Now the next video I'll be making is on the history of fake news and propaganda which was spread in the past, so I'll speak about that later on. And that's about it for this video. Thank you everyone for watching the video. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.